Listen to your mother. Why? Well, let me tell you a story about my mum. As you know, I grew up in Ruamar, the boys' home that my mother and father ran. Now, at the church we went to, a lot of the other mums were very interested in who their kids went out with. They even tried to do a bit of matchmaking. But my mum was adamant that she would never do that. Maybe in response to the fact that some mothers definitely didn't want their daughters to go out with a boy from the boys' home. But whatever her reason, it was a rule that she upheld. But one day, in relation to me, surprisingly, that rule seemed to slip. You see, she would often be invited to speak at clubs and churches about the boys' home. It was a way for her to gain support for the work she did. One morning, as I was heading off to university, she stopped me and said,
"You know, Michael, the other night I was asked to speak at this church, and I met the most beautiful girl, and I instantly thought that she would be perfect for you."
"What about your rule? Don't try and set me up with some random wallflower you felt sorry for at some church you spoke at. See ya." And with that, I headed out the door. But the next day, she said it again.
"I just can't get this girl out of my mind, Michael. I think that she would be perfect for you."
Have my mother set me up with some bird? Yuck no. But my mother was not a woman to be dissuaded easily. She seemed to drop this girl in all sorts of conversations and all sorts of times. So finally I said, "Mum, what is it about this girl that you like so much?"
"Oh, Michael, she plays the violin beautifully."
"She plays the violin? The violin?" So I took my mum aside and explained what I was looking for in a girl. I gave her a graphic description. She had to have a beautiful and big, with long and a nice... My mother looked at me, rolled her eyes and said,
"Michael, you're awful."
And never again did she raise the matter. But then one day I got an invite to attend a friend's wedding. I went to the church by myself and was ushered into a seat next to this young girl. I nodded a polite acknowledgement. But then I did a double take. Wow! She had a beautiful and big and long and a nice... We talked, and she was also intelligent and funny and interesting. And then during the service, she got up and played the violin. And do you know what? She played it beautifully. Then I realised that the church we were in was the church my mum had spoken at. After the service, we continued to talk, and I asked if she was free to go out the next weekend. But she said, "Sorry, Mike, only last night I got engaged, so I don't think it would be appropriate." "Sure it would," I said. "There's still time. We owe it to my mother." She laughed, smiled, and then touched me on my arm and said it was nice meeting me. And with that, I never saw her again. So you see, I underestimated my mum. She knew me better than I knew myself. So always listen to your mother. That's an awful story, Dad. Why, if you had married that girl, we would never have been born. No worries, mate. You see, that girl only played a violin. A violin only has 4 strings. But your mum played a piano. A piano has 230 strings. And when I introduced your mother to my mum, my mother took me aside and said,
"That girl is a keeper. Don't let her go."
And by that stage I had learned to listen to my mother and did exactly what she told me to. You see, my mother wasn't bedazzled by her beautiful and her big, her long and her nice. She looked at her heart and knew that it would have space for me. So read my lips, kids. It's in your best interests. Listen to your mother. Have you got a soft spot for your mother? have you come to realise what a positive influence she had on your life? God, through the Bible, asks this question: can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has borne? He then answers the question by saying, though she may forget, I will not forget you. Just as it is important to listen to your mum, so it's important to listen to God. If you're not sure how to listen to God, give us a hoy in the comments below.
If you like this story, give us a like in the comments and subscribe to hear more, because I'm pretty sure that's what your mum would want.
God bless you, and see you in story number 49.